Life's precious. I think we would all agree. But often we find that we take the very things that we do every day in life for granted until something happens in a blink of an eye. Hello, I'm Tom Russo, and this is In a Blink of an Eye, where we discuss stories from ordinary people whose lives are changed in an instant and how they overcame through faith, courage, and determination. Join me on this podcast for uplifting stories of how people face various challenges and learn to not only survive, but thrive. In a Blink of an Eye is sponsored by TradingCardsMarketplace.com. Discover, connect, collect. That's TradingCardsMarketplace.com. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I got to tell you, I am very excited to introduce to you my guest today, Patrick Goodman, a friend of mine, a classmate of mine from high school back at Clear Creek High School. Patrick, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you.
I'm so excited you're here. I gotta tell the folks, Patrick is one of the most intelligent men I've ever met in my life. He is one of those wily coyote intelligent people, and it's always been a little intimidating to me because of how smart he is. But by the same token, he's real down to earth, and he's a great guy. And I think it's you're going to really enjoy hearing his story and hearing how he has tackled the things that have happened in his life and overcome. But like I always do, I want to throw it to you, Patrick, and tell us a little bit about where you're from, where you grew up, how you got to be doing what you're doing.
All right. Wile E. Coyote, huh? At least I never dropped that piano. That would have been embarrassing.
You don't order from Acme either, do you?
No. Legal situation, don't you know?
That's great.
Anyway, my name is Patrick Goodman. I'm originally from Amarillo, Texas. Born at the Air Force Base there when there was one. Grew up all over the place. In North Dakota and California. And then I came back to Texas after my folks split. Then I joined the Air Force.
Thank you for your service, by the way.
You're very welcome. It was the least I could do. And I don't say that lightly.
I understand. I'm proud of all of our service people.
But after that, I moved around across the state a bit, from the Panhandle back to the Houston area, then back to the Panhandle again. Joined the Air Force, spent some time overseas, spent some time in Nebraska, and then I came back to Texas, worked with computers and IT in some capacity for about 30 years.
Time flies when you're having fun, doesn't it?
Oh, doesn't it though?
It does. Well, I understand from our visiting off camera that, when you came back and you kind of got set back up, and I think this might have been when you were in the Houston area. I may have gotten that wrong, but you struggled with something. You struggled with alcohol.
I did.
You truly were and are an alcoholic.
I am.
And it took a girl in 1993, I think he said.
That's about that, yeah.
To get you off of alcohol for a little while. But that didn't work out either, did it?
No. I mean, it worked out for a while, but we had a national tragedy in 2001, and
tell me about that day, because that day is special in a bad sense to lots and lots of people.
Yeah, I mean, I was. The morning started pretty normally. Everybody in the office was doing their thing, and then one of the guys came and said, somebody just flew a plane into the World Trade Center. And the way he said it, and there hadn't really been any the news coverage yet. It was still very early that morning.
Right.
It was like 8:30
It was
that
really
morning.
early in the morning, and I remember exactly. That's one of those moments in time you remember exactly where you were when you found out.
Yeah. But the way Darren was putting it, I thought some private pilot had lost control of a Cessna, and it was going to be it was it was tragic, and the guy in the Cessna probably died, but it was going to be a B piece on the 5 o'clock news, and we'd never hear about it again. And then he came back in. Are we PG-13 or what?
You can say what you want to say.
Because Darren came and said, "Holy shit, it was a passenger jet," which caught everybody's attention.
Sure. And I think 9/11 warrants the language.
And I just remember, and then okay, well, even then, it could be, catastrophic, but still, a plane
Maybe it got
is a
off course.
very complex piece of machinery.
Right. Right.
And you could have a cascading failure, and it's like, oh my God. And then about the time we were starting to move things around, and there really was, it was 2001. The internet was there, but it was not, excuse me, it was not what it is now. But I mean, we had, there were televisions, and, like I said, I was working for the county. So the county judge and his courtroom were like 2 doors down from me. And Judge Wood had a TV in the courtroom, usually for evidence presentation, but it worked. So
Right.
we start about the time we start, looking for news on this, the second plane hit the other tower.
And at that point, you realized it was something more. Something.
Yeah, it was something a lot more, and none of it good. And then we started hearing about
forward through that, and I'm not trying to steal your emotions away, but it affected you. It affected you so much that you reached for the bottle again.
Yeah, and I'm not sure. I'm not, to this day, and it's been coming up on 25 years now. I still am not sure which what aspect of it did that. I think mostly it was finding out just how vulnerable things could really be if someone really wanted to make some kind of a point like that. And I'd spent my life, dad was retired Air Force. He flew fighters, he flew bombers, he was command of a maintenance squadron in Vietnam. I grew up around the concept of, we're the top of the heap, we're invulnerable. And because nothing of this scale had happened since 1941.
And that shook your confidence probably to the core, and it certainly shook your faith to the core. I think it shook many of Americans, their faith to the core.
It really did.
How could God let this happen, kind of a thing?
Well, I went and bought a bottle of Crown, case of Coke, and I proceeded. I mean, not only am I an alcoholic, I'm a child of an alcoholic.
Right.
And I knew
a grandchild, from what you said too.
Possibly a grandchild. I'm not 100% sure, but it wouldn't surprise me. So I knew how to be a functioning alcoholic. I'd watched my dad do it for years. I never drank during the day, but I'd go home and I'd get plastered. And I kind of, like I say, I had a troubled relationship with God from the for many years, but it started getting better. One of my coworkers and I, we started talking, and she had survived breast cancer. When I met her, when I met her, some people were telling me, yeah, she's got, the doctor's saying she's probably got about 2 years. And from the point they told me that until the day she died was not quite 20.
20 years?
20 years, as opposed to the 2 they had originally
Right.
predicted. But so I began to kind of rebuild it from there. And they were, I don't remember what I was watching in February of 2002, but
You were about to go get more alcohol, and you
I was
kind of said,
I was about to go get more alcohol. I to this day I don't remember what I was watching on TV, but I kind of asked myself, what the hell are you doing? Because a year earlier I'd gotten on to my dad, who had slipped off the wagon again.
and I think, and you probably do too, that's God talking to you at some point there. There's no doubt.
It had to be, and I started reading my Bible again. I quit. I had finished off that bottle. I was about to go get another one, and I decided not to. And I started looking at things because, I think they had just had the Super Bowl. I can't remember exactly when the Super Bowl was in 2002, but I think it was like the first week of February.
Usually they're either last week of January or first week of February. So
yeah, but it had come and gone. And I remember watching YouTube during the halftime show, and they had the names projected onto this curtain up to the ceiling of the dome. And I'm sitting here on the night that on the night that I stopped drinking, I was thinking about that. I don't know what I don't know what I was doing at the time that triggered, but I was thinking about that. And those buildings, the two main buildings, between them, under normal circumstances, 25,000 people, they said, worked in those buildings. And had they fallen sideways,
it could have taken out a whole
it could have taken out a good chunk of downtown Manhattan. Tens of thousands of people could have died.
So
3,000.
So
there
you
are 3,000 people.
Moment.
It had to be God watching out over something.
Well, and you have this moment where God basically slaps you in the face and says, "You got to quit drinking."
Yeah.
And kudos to you, because it's been over 24 years now since you've gone back. And that is a courageous thing and a courageous battle that you fight every day. And I'm proud of you for that, Patrick. I'm very proud of you for that.
Well, thank you.
And I know that has led to some other things that happened in your life. Now, so you get back sober.
Right.
At some point in here, you have met your wife.
I met my wife a couple of years later in 2004.
Okay. In 2004.
Right.
And you have 3 children.
I do.
And they're all special needs children.
They're all special needs children, yes. It's
and that in and of itself is another, to me, blink of an eye moment where God is talking to you. I mean, they're special and they're wonderful. They're God's creations,
yeah,
and you have to learn how to handle each of those. You and your wife have to know how to deal with this, and I think that's a difficult thing, but yet it's a sacred thing. It's something that God has blessed you with, and I know that sounds like a different type of word for that, but I truly think it is a blessing.
a lot of people think it's a different kind of word. Our youngest is the one where most people will say, "I'm so sorry this happened to you," because my youngest has Down syndrome. My usual response is, "Why?" I don't understand why you're sorry for me. There's a saying that says, God won't give you more than you can handle, and
Sure.
I
Right.
think if you look at the Bible, you'll find that is in fact not always true. He gave people more than they could handle all the time because he wanted them to
Push themselves.
push themselves, turn back to him. That was,
Well, you
that's why
need to look no further than the story of Job. I mean,
yeah,
he couldn't have given any more to Job. I mean, he took everything from Job and then some. And so here you are with these three special needs children, and you have these things happening, and your faith is starting to grow again.
yeah,
And
yeah.
tell me a little bit
Well,
about that journey, because I know you said you picked your Bible back up and you were starting to go back
I was starting to go back. I still wasn't attending church regularly, but my wife, my girlfriend at the time, was raised in the Church of Christ and was is and remains very devout about it. And so I started going there. So a lot of my journey back, a lot of it begins and ends with Tiffany, because without her, I might have fallen back. I might have slid back.
well, I think oftentimes, I know I talk about my wife a lot too. I think God knows what He's doing when He puts these women in our lives, guys. It's an amazing thing, and I'm speaking for you, but I know for me, Cindy's my rock, and she helps me through all kinds of things. Had it not been for her, I don't know if I could have survived my eye issue. But it it tests your faith, and it pushes you forward in ways that you never knew you could do it.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Now, along the way, let's go a little whimsical here. Along
Let's
the
do that
way,
thing.
uh, you have this affinity for Star Trek. You are a true Trekkie.
I am indeed.
What is it? Live long and
Live long and
prosper. Right.
prosper.
So I'm not a
You want to know a fun
Trekkie,
piece of trivia?
but I'm not a Trekkie, but I do
Yeah.
know that.
You want to know a fun piece of trivia?
Yeah,
William Shatner can't do this.
really. Did not know that.
Th-
See, I can do
There's
it. I can do it.
yeah. See, I can do it with both hands.
Oh wait, hey, I can too. Look at that.
Yeah, not everybody can. Sometimes it's a coordination issue. Sometimes a joint doesn't quite line up. I think that's the problem with William Shatner. There's a scene in one of the movies where he had to hold that up, and fortunately, it's not really a close-up shot because they had to put his fingers together with fishing line.
Great story. Great story.
So
Well,
but yeah, that's something I've been doing. That's something I've done for
so you've
as
done
long as
that
I
for a
can
long
remember.
time, and what you've done actually is very interesting. So you kind of work with the I guess the tabletop game
Right.
version of Star Trek. It's almost like
Correct.
Dungeons and Dragons, only it's Star Trek with
Yeah.
different different episodes, if you will.
Right, and that's exactly how we approach. But yeah, I've been doing that for
And you're a writer for that. You actually
Yes, sir.
create this stuff.
I am one of many, but I am proud to have my name in these books. Yeah.
Well, and what I find, and this is to wit why I said he's so intelligent. I mean, that's an amazing thing to be that creative consistently over and over and over again. And you've been doing that for how many years?
Writing in general. See, I'm about to be 50 some odd years. I've been
50
writing
years
since I
you've
was.
been working on that.
I've been writing something since doing creative stories and things like that.
I
Since I was a
love
kid.
that. And so that you could truly say that's a passion of yours.
Yeah.
You could truly say that's a passion of yours.
Well, I can't say that I love writing. Writing is painful. Writing hurts sometimes. You're sitting there going, "Why won't the words?" I like having written. It's like
you like the end
because then I've gotten through. I've gotten to the end of this particular thing.
So what you're saying, the journey isn't worth it? It's the end product.
No, the journey is getting to the end. Getting in the end, it's the only thing that makes the journey worth it sometimes. Sometimes if if things are flowing, life is good. But in general, writing can be a monumental pain in the butt.
Absolutely.
But yeah, it's something that I started writing it for role-playing games in general in '99. The current licensed Star Trek RPG, which is called Star Trek Adventures. I feel I better plug them. Hold on just a second.
There it is.
Here's the latest book.
Standing.
I've got words in this one, but there, I've plugged.
Well, and you have something else to plug too, because like me, you're a podcaster yourself.
I am.
Tell us a little bit about that and where people can find that.
Well, I have a YouTube channel called The Trekkie Gamer. I know, real creative title there. But yeah, it's I'll send you a link. You can put it in the description.
Absolutely.
But I talk about role-playing games because I've been doing role-playing games of one form or another, Dungeons and Dragons, Traveler.
I think at some point in high school I played Dungeons and Dragons with you. I'm pretty sure
you did at some point. Yeah. I've had a couple of different games running during.
I wasn't a big D&D player, but I had a 40th level elf or something. I don't know. Something.
Yeah, but I've been playing I've been playing those since I was 14. And let's see, Star Trek Adventures, Modifius Entertainment, the company that owns who produces that, they got the license in 2016. And because I had been writing for other games, and I wanted the chance to say, "Hey, I wrote something for Star Trek," I sent in my samples and stuff, and they said, "Hey, you want to write this and this and this?" Why, yes, I'd love to write this and this and this.
Absolutely.
And that over there, if somebody isn't doing it, and I'll take that bit over there.
Why does that scene from The Jerk come to mind? All I need is this and this and
similar theory. Similar theory. It's been a long time. I haven't seen The Jerk in ages, but the similar approach.
I'm dropping old movies on you here.
Go for it. Fire it up, man.
So,
but yeah, they hired me, and I've been writing for them. I say this year marks the 10th anniversary of the game and Star Trek's 60th anniversary.
Outstanding.
Hard to
believe
that.
Look at that. That's cool. Very nice. So you've taken this passion, and that certainly gets your mind off of things sometimes. I'm sure it kind of redirects your energy and uses your creative juices. uh, and we all have
When
an
my kids
escape.
allow me to have them, yeah.
Yeah, we all have an escape. We all have something that we escape from and go to as a piece de resistance for us to get back and to go do something. So I'm happy that you have that in your life, and I'm sure what you do is truly remarkable. I'll have to now. I'm going to have to go check it out now. So I need something else. I've got a whole room full of collections and things that I do. So,
Welcome to
uh,
my world.
but let's get a little more serious now.
Okay.
Something happened last year that really kind of truly defining blink of an eye moment for you.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Walk me through how that started and where you're at in your journey now.
Okay. I work in retail merchandising. My job is to, and I've only got, a small store. Some people do a lot more than I do, but I go into Walmart. I look up what my company's client wants us to do on, say, Axe body spray. We'll just use them as an example because I did something with them today. And so I'm squatting down, moving things around, climbing ladders, standing up.
Active. You're active.
Whether I want to be or not. And I start noticing that when I stand up, I'm getting dizzy. And I generally think that it's only because
You're an old man.
yeah, I mean,
I say that
I'm
in jest because we're practically the same age, but yes.
yeah, but I was 59 at the time, and but I figure, okay, I've gotten to the point where I kneel down to do something on these bottom shelves, and my blood circulation's cut off, and I'm gonna get dizzy when I stand up. I just need to get used to it. And then a couple of months later, I'm still not used to it, but I'm barreling
Dealing
through
with it.
because I'm stubborn. And so, God forbid I go see a doctor now.
That's an endearing quality that I can certainly understand.
But one night in June of last year, I'm walking through our dining room, and I black out and fall into our dining room table. Knock everything askew. The table falls over. Chairs, nothing's broken. I'm not broken. And thank the Lord, my kids were not sitting at that table.
Where normally they were.
Like at least one of them almost always is, because that's where they do their crafts. That's where they do their homeschool. That's where they do
all their activities. Yeah.
Yeah, they do all sorts of things, almost everything at that dining room table. So I mean that's my proof of God's grace that I currently use. There have been others in the past, but
You went to the doctor the next day.
I finally, it's like, okay, when I come, my wife is going, you really need, I was like, yeah, I think I really do. So I go to the urgent care because it's quicker than getting into my regular doctor at that point. They were very busy that day. Got into the urgent care, and they took all my symptoms, and my blood pressure was good.
They thought it was an ear infection.
They thought it was an ear infection. They looked, oh wait, you got kind of a bubble there. Looks like you got some fluid. Let's get you some antibiotics and get you taken care of. And we'll see you again in next week after the antibiotics, or after you finish the antibiotics. And it was still going on. So they finally start scheduling me for labs, drawing blood. all sorts of things. And I discover at that point that I have iron deficiency anemia. I was almost to the point of needing a blood transfusion. If
Within
you're
a tenth of a point.
tenth of a point, yeah, I was. If you hit 7.5 on your hemoglobin,
They're wanting to give you blood.
they want to give me blood. I'm at 7.6. They were still considering giving me blood, but they instead put me on a
An iron regimen.
heavy duty iron regimen, and so we went that, and then they start scheduling all sorts of other tests. You know, family histories, which, if you're ever in something resembling this position, bug your family.
And find out everything.
Find out everything. I'll explain that in a couple of minutes. But all the markers are coming back clean. So they scheduled me for a colonoscopy. And I know you've had at least one because you're my age. And during that colonoscopy in October of last year, they discovered I had stage 3B colon cancer. At this point, knowing the family history would have been really helpful, because as it turns out, one of my aunts also had colon cancer. One of my aunts had breast cancer. So I had fairly close family history, and I had no idea. They had asked me this question 3 weeks prior, and I didn't.
Take me back to that day when you found out that you had stage 3B colon cancer. How did you take that news? Because that had to be devastating.
It took a little while to sink in. Frankly, I think my doctor should have waited probably another half an hour for me to completely recover from the anesthesia, but because I had to sit there and process it. He told my wife while I was still unconscious when I was first wheeled in. He told my wife, and she was just sitting there kind of fretting and because she didn't want to be the one to tell me. So she's just sitting here making small talk with me, asking me how I'm feeling. It's like, well, I'm starving. I haven't eaten since yesterday. We really need to hit Wendy's after this. And I need a baconator. I need a baconator and stuff. I need a baconator and fries like I needed a hole in the head. But we'll get that's beside the point. I was, if you recall the whole situation, I was hungry.
You're hungry.
And so I'm largely preoccupied with food, and then Dr. Smith comes in and tells me, and it takes me a few minutes to process what the hell he just said. I'm like, excuse me, run that past me one more time. You got cancer. Your follow-up is next week. I'll explain everything. But yeah, he had art. He had photos. I was like, well, yep, that does not look like healthy tissue. And they asked, well, how do you know when you look at it? Well, let me show you the pictures, and I'll tell you how you know. This is healthy colon tissue.
Yeah.
This is healthy colon tissue. This is yellowish, pinky streaked mass. That is not healthy colon tissue. And like I say, at that point, I wish I'd known about my aunts, because it would have been a bit less of a shock, knowing that I, in fact, had family history of this. I wish that
did you go through the signs of grief at that point? I mean, was it first like shock, then disbelief, then anger, then I
I did, kind of in an abbreviated fashion. There's definitely shock. There's definitely some anger involved because
The why me? It's real easy to get the why me.
there's some part of it was like, my wife is usually the one that's sick. My wife has got a lot of medical history, and she's usually the one that's sick. I'm usually the one that's steering things and taking care of things while she is recovering from whatever is ailing her. She's got an autoimmune disease and things of that nature. So I'm used to that, and prior to this, the worst thing I ever had was a cold that lasted a week and a half. It was a real bad cold. Head hurt, couldn't breathe, but that's, about the worst it ever got for me. At that point, I'm 59 years old, and I'm like, what the hell do you mean? I don't get sick.
I got too many.
Well, you are now. Congratulations. Yeah. So there's a lot more. I mean, I was angry that I was sick, that I had just become a statistic, and nobody wants to be a statistic. And but for several days, it was more disbelief. I know I did several rounds of. I probably did go through bargaining. Now that you mention it, it's like, why me, God?
And
Me.
I too went through that, and I went through, why would you do this to me? What, I thought we had a good thing going. Where's this fit into it? And I got to the point where on my faith journey where I was like, you know what? God wants me with one eye for some reason, and I'm gonna make the most of it. Did you have that revelation at some point?
Yeah, pretty early on, actually. I think because I've always tried to be an optimist about everything that I can, because it's healthier. But yeah, I had a couple of talks, and I just decided, I'm gonna beat this thing, and you're gonna help. Team effort, right?
And you're currently going through chemo, right?
I am currently, yeah, even as we speak.
What's the prognosis on how long you're going to have to do that, and what other steps do you have?
I just started. Well, the steps. I shortly after the colonoscopy, I had another colonoscopy so that they could laser mark the tumor to help the robotic devices identify it, which was the opposite of fun. Nobody wants to have two. It's like, I didn't want to have two of those in 10 years. I really didn't want to have two of those in 2 months. That was the opposite of fun. So they we did that, and in December, on the 8th of December, in fact, I had what is called a robot-assisted right colectomy, where they knock your butt out.
Literally.
Oh yeah, it's like, it's like, okay, this is the robot. Oh, hi, I'm going to call you Kevin. Call him whatever you want. All right, I want you to lie back. And I didn't even get asked about a countdown. I don't remember anything after. I need you to lie back. We're going to move you over from this gurney onto the operating table. And I woke up 3 hours later in a hospital room with 1, 2, 4 laparoscopy. tiny little holes, little bitty scars, itty bitty bitty bitty, and one big old scar because they open you up, they pump you full of compressed air so they have room to work. I don't know if you've ever had. I know I've had surgery on the eye, but I don't know that you've ever had anything
Abdominal
else.
surgery. No,
Yeah.
I've had multiple surgeries on my eye, but I haven't had any other surgeries really.
Oh, recommendation: avoid it. 0 of 10. Do not recommend.
0 out of 10. No stars.
No stars. No stars. So, but I've got a. My wife calls it a C-section scar.
Okay.
Because they pump you up, they inflate you. They reach like 4 different robot arms in there with cameras and laser beams and I'm not joking. I'm pretty sure she said there were laser beams involved. Scalpels.
I'm sure they had laser beams in my eye. If you only knew, Patrick, how we all have our fears in life. I have fears of needles. Okay. Anybody that knows me real well knows that I'm mortified of needles. I had to get 8 shots in my eye.
Good God.
And you probably heard me screaming in Amarillo. So I'm telling you, I understand. I don't know the abdominal part, but I get it. They were very into my eye.
And at that point they had cut out about 20% of my colon. And it had not touched my liver. And it was right under where the tumor was right under my liver.
So it didn't metastasize anything else?
Little bit. The reason it's stage 3B and not stage 3A was because it took one lymph node along with it. But it had perforated the colon wall and was spreading into my midsection. And I don't think it had actually engaged my pancreas, but it was flirting with my pancreas. It was buying my pancreas drinks.
Yeah.
It was trying to pick my pancreas up. And so
hopefully your pancreas was playing hard to get.
From what my surgeon said, yes, she was in fact playing very hard to get. But because it had perforated and was just thinking about involving other organs. If it had just been that one lymph node, I'd be out of, I'd be done. I'd be, come see us in, I think they said 6 months. Instead, I am on the first 3-week cycle of 8 of chemotherapy.
And how's that going for you? Because I know it's not fun. I know. The
first, so far, the first 4 or 5 days, I get an infusion and I take pills. The infusion kicked my ass. I'm not looking forward to 2 weeks from now when the next round starts. I get a week off in between.
That's good.
But after that, once I got used, I've got to eat often to counteract nausea, but my appetite is not what it used to be. So I'm eating smaller meals more often, and staying hydrated. But the liquid, the infusions, and I don't know if you can't really see it, but I've got a port. So at least I can use my hands because it takes a good 2 hours.
Well, Patrick, I know I share all of our audience's, best wishes for you, but I know God has your back, and I know you're a faith-filled person, and And it's amazing to me that you've been met with struggle after struggle, and you have continued to come out on top. And for that, uh, if nothing else, I hope my audience gets from your story to be a survivor, to keep going, to have the faith, keep looking forward to something, and keep knowing that it's going to be all right. Somehow, some way, it's going to be all right. I admire you so much because I know what you've been through and I know what you're going through, and I know I speak for everyone that wishes you nothing but the best, and I want you to stay in touch and let us know how things are going.
Absolutely.
Um, in parting, I want to hear from you what God and your faith in him means to you to help you through this, help you deal with the three special needs kids, help you deal with your alcoholism, which is an everyday struggle. I know as I've heard from other alcoholics and other drug addicts say, you're always that, and so you have to try to fight that. That's a demon you have to try to fight every day. So tell me, let's end up with that, and then I'll wrap it up, because if you can imagine, we've almost talked an hour.
Wow.
This is one of my longest episodes ever. Isn't that amazing?
I knew I was a chatty Cathy, but
I love it. You have a very compelling story, but let's finish it up with that. Tell the audience what your faith means to you and how it helps you fight the good fight and survive.
well, it's at the point where, you know, and I work with words, and I am having trouble saying this, but it's it's a lot of what keeps me going is like, okay, God's got a plan. I need to learn to stay out of my own way. Let let the boss steer, and it doesn't always work out that way. I'm a stubborn head case.
But we don't always understand what that roadmap is.
We don't, and trying to figure out what it means sometimes is the real struggle. Excuse me. Why did God give me cancer? I don't know yet.
And you may not know till you get to heaven. You may not know.
Yeah. I might not. I would like to think that it was something like what you have discovered with your eye. He wants you to reach out to others and spread the good word that way. I know that at least part of what I try to do with my writing and my videos is treat them as my ministry.
Love that. That's exactly how I feel this is for me.
I may not. I may not be preaching a sermon. I may not be quoting anything out of the Bible, but I know that quick little side story. A Presbyterian minister got in touch with my editor, and they wound up sharing a video of it on Facebook at one point. But he taught a sermon built around Star Trek Adventures, because during the pandemic, that game had helped given him something
to look forward to.
Look forward to do. And my editor is one of the most humble men I've ever met in my life. He doesn't take credit for a lot of things that I try to give him credit for. His name is Jim Johnson. Really good guy. But he said, well, I never considered it a ministry. And this Presbyterian minister saying, well, you ministered to me. And
that's beautiful, man.
And I saw that video, and I saw this message exchange. It was on public forum. And I'm reading that. It's like, maybe that's what I'm supposed to be doing. I may not be preaching the gospel per se, but I'm helping somebody through something.
Exactly. And I think that's a great stopping point for us as far as this part goes, because I believe wholly that everybody has some type of ministry. You don't know what you're doing, how it affects someone else. And I certainly feel like this is my ministry. My in a blink of an eye podcast was solely meant for me to share. It doesn't mean I spend the whole time, quoting Bible scripture. I just want to talk about people's faith journeys. And it doesn't even have to be a Christian faith journey. I've had a couple of guests that were not Christians, that were other religions, and that's okay to me, because it's their faith journey. And everybody's got their own, and you have to be able to go with it. And I appreciate so much you sharing yours and letting us know that even through your game network, you're doing a ministry. You're helping people because you're giving some people some joy, and you never know what they could be going through. So I'm going to leave it at that, and hang on while I wrap it up here, and we'll finish it up. If you like hearing uplifting stories of overcoming challenges in life, click the like and subscribe button below, please. Now, I've just added Spotify, so you can find In a Blink of an Eye on Spotify and YouTube. In fact, my first full episode that will be going originally onto Spotify will be Mr. Goodman. So I'm pretty excited about that. But it'll be on YouTube and Spotify. Perhaps you have a story of your own to share: an accident, sudden loss, PTSD, alcohol, drug abuse, a natural disaster, illnesses, and you would like to share that journey of overcoming, please contact me at the email shown below for consideration for a future podcast interview. I rely on viewers like you to share their stories. To wit, Patrick reached out to me based on one of my texts and things that I put out on Facebook all the time, probably to the annoyance of many. But he responded and said, I'd love to share my story, and I'm so grateful that he did. Thanks again to TradingCardsMarketplace.com for their continued sponsorship to bring these great stories to us. TradingCardsMarketplace.com. Discover, connect, collect. Awaken the collector in you. And I want to thank everyone out there, especially my family, our military, veterans, and first responders who put their lives on the line every day, especially in today's tumultuous world. We can't forget our teachers and our medical professionals who all make the world better one person at a time. But most of all, thank God for all the blessings in our world. We just need to make sure that we concentrate on them every single day. Until next time, like the shirt says, my folks, carpe diem, seize the day.